Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast. Wishing everybody who's down there in Florida and the whole path of the hurricanes, etc., past and current one, are staying safe. Let me know if you're on here, Nina and Jay. I'd be curious on whether you guys even have power down there. I hear so many people are suffering. I appreciate you guys all showing up early and on time. I like to, let me just turn my captions off before I forget to do that through the whole thing. I like to start off with a quick tip for success, for saying thank you to those showing up early and on time. And my tip for success today is for you to remember that federal buyers, they don't buy from the best companies. And so if you're at the very best of what you do, if you're like, oh, we're better than anybody, it doesn't matter. The federal buyers don't buy from the best. They buy from the best of the ones who show up, right? And so I want you to make sure that you remember that federal buyers buy from the best who show up. So you need to show up. Later we can talk about showing up and looking good and looking good in a business way, right? The things you're saying, et cetera. But let's first just start with showing up. And showing up could be at an event. Showing up could be in an RFI where you're responding or an RFP where you're responding. But if you don't show up in front of the buyer, then how can they buy from you, right? If the buyer can't see you, how can they buy from you? That tip is just a little thank you for those showing up early and on time. It directly relates to today's topic about DSBS because it's the number one place to show up. And it's really, frankly, one of the easiest places to show up. Man, somebody just put a huge comment in there. Hey, Tabor, do me a favor, man, shrink your comments in the chat to 10, 15 words at most. I can't read any of that. And frankly, I never will because it's just too much. Smaller chats, not to be me. I will look at it, Tabor, though. I will go in and see, but don't just put something big. We don't read that in the chat. Okay, let me dive into today's training. And again, today we're going to be talking about DSBS, the Dynamic Small Business Search Tool. And this is the number one place you want to be showing up for federal buyers. Knowing how federal buyers search for small business government contractors like yours, this enables you to be where they're looking, right? And this is really important. DSBS, what we're going to talk about today, is the number one marketing tool. It's the top marketing tool for federal government contractors, and it's the top place that federal buyers look for small businesses like yours. And so what I want you to think about as we're going into today's training is how do you look in the tool, right? How do you look in DSBS? Are you even visible? 60+% of small businesses are completely invisible to the federal buyer. Even if they go to the tool and they search, your competitors are not beating you out because you're not even showing up to the competition, right? And so today I really want to be talking to you about how to make sure you're visible in there. And we're going to be driving into that. Let me just share my slides. I'm always worried about hitting the wrong button and ending the live. That's never a good thing. So today we're going to be talking about the Dynamic Small Business Search. And again, it is the top marketing asset for government contractors, for small businesses in particular, right? It's a small business tool run by the SBA, if you don't know this. So today I'm going to break down the topic into 4 sections. The first one is really just putting DSBS in perspective with the other 5 marketing assets. There's only 6 marketing assets that matter to small business government contractors. Everything else that we might do from a marketing perspective is just a way for us to not do sales, to not go knock on doors. The second topic I want to talk about, or second section, is why DSBS is the number one marketing asset. Why do I say it's more important than the other 5? It's like, what about the website? That's important. No, in fact, I put that at the bottom, which you'll see in a minute. But I want to explain to you why it is the number one and show you the rationale I have behind advocating DSBS to be in that top slot. The third thing we're going to talk about is why how federal buyers use the Dynamic Small Business Search Tool, or DSBS, to find companies like yours. If you've ever heard of this concept of shortlisting, think about if I'm hiring somebody and I'm looking for a professional that has a certain set of qualifications. Let's say they must have a college degree, right? So if I get a stack of 100 resumes, basically what I'm doing is all the company or the people with no degrees, I get rid of them, and then the ones that have the degree, I move them to the short list. So I just took 100 people and I whittled it down. I want to talk about how federal buyers use DSBS to do that to your company. And then I'm going to wrap up with talking about, well, how visible are you? I can tell you how visible right now you are, right? Now, because there's so many people who are on the call, we'll have well over 100 people today. I'm not going to be able to do it for each of you. I just run out of time. I used to do it for like hundreds of people for free. Just, hey, I'll do it. But instead, my co-founders and I, we built a tool that just lets you do it for free. And so we'll talk about that at the end. So you can check your visibility score and see what to do. In fact, my friend Scott reached out to me this morning and he's like, hey, how do I do the visibility score so I can find out how to move my company to the next level? I'm like, do this, and go in. So I want you to do that same thing. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I am the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce and co-founder of GovCon in a Box, where we provide the tools that help small business government contractors win federal contracts. I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years as a small business owner in the federal market, and since 2018, I've been helping people like you understand that government contracting is not a secret, it's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we're going to have repeatable, predictable results. That's what I want for you. I know it's what you want for yourself, and so that's going to be exciting. But it's almost not as exciting as my news for today. We just hit our government contracting success newsletter. I'm super proud that we just passed 20,000 subscribers. So last night when I went to bed, it was 19,999, which is cool. I got a screenshot of that because that's a pretty proud moment. And now we're well over 20,000 and we're super excited about that. Very thankful to our subscribers. I want to invite you to subscribe to the Government Contracting Success newsletter so that you too can be part of that community and not miss anything that we put out. Everything we put out is related to tips for success in the federal market. Speaking of that, tomorrow's training, make sure you register for that. We had well over 100 people, I think well over 200 people register for today's training. And tomorrow's training is about being a federal subcontractor, right? So there's 3 ways to make money in the federal market. You can subcontract under a small, you can prime contract, or you can subcontract under a large. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about the 2 subcontracting paths. I want to give you tips for success around being a federal subcontractor. I also wanted to, just before we go too much farther, celebrate the 100 Club. These are companies whose federal visibility score is over 100. Today, we're talking about DSBS and how visible are you to the federal buyer. Well, literally, these people are 100 points out of 100, right? And they've hit it. It's really super exciting. 79 companies. Today, we're joined by Packet X, Sam Brown. He's in our community. Samuel, he's put his capability statement out on LinkedIn where you can see it. Hopefully you go find him, give him a thumbs up, give his company a thumbs up and say congratulations on getting to the 100 Club. Some companies come from like 85 and get to 100. Others are coming from 50 or 14 or 9 even. One of them right now that's almost at 100 started at 9, and we gave them the guidance for free that says, here's what you do. So go check out your score at GovCon in a Box, and I'll show you it in a minute actually, because it's part of today's training, ironically. But go to govconinabox.com and you join the 100 Club. I'd love to celebrate you in there. By the way, there's over 350,000 small businesses. Think how unique it is that there's these 79 companies are at that 100 score, right? They're showing up. Federal buyers are able to see them much easier. Doesn't mean they're going to get a contract. That's not what the 100 Club is about. It means they're going to get on the pile to be able to get shortlisted. Right. And so that's that idea, being visible where the buyers are looking. Anyways, let's move on to DSBS by beginning with where does it fit in to the 6 marketing assets that I say are the only ones that matter. Right. And so here are the 6. Hopefully you can see them. And I'm going to walk through them in 2 ways. I want to just kind of do a refresher. And whether you've been here a long time, like some of you have watched over 200 of my live trainings, you come back day after day because it's a great community. And hopefully I tackle the topics always from a different perspective. So it's good for you, and it's very good for people who are newer to the game. But every marketing asset has a purpose. And it's really important for you to understand this, because if you have something, a tool, but you don't know what its purpose is, then why do you have the tool? Or more importantly, do you not realize that this tool will help you do this thing? I remember growing up, and God forbid if you lost one of my dad's tools in the basement, right? But I remember this one tool, it had a handle and it had this thin piece of, like, I'm calling it aluminum, but it was probably like really, really thin sheet metal or something. But it was this weirdest thing and I never knew what it was. And one day when I was older and I was changing the oil on my car, my dad's like, what the hell are you doing? And he's watching me trying to undo the oil filter out of the car. And he hands me that tool. He goes, put it there, go like this. And it came right off. It's like, wow, the right tool for the right job will get the job done so much faster. It'll save your knuckles, right? And these marketing assets are going to save your marketing knuckles if it will, as it is. So the dynamic small business search, its purpose is to get you found. It is a database of all government contractors, small business government contractors who want to sell to the federal government. So fundamentally, you're in SAM, you're in DSBS. Now you're visible to the federal buyer. And we'll talk about how you need to, make sure you do this completely. But DSBS's purpose, its only purpose, is to get you found, right? For us, for the small business. The government has a couple other uses for it. But for us, it's basically to get you found. I want the federal buyer to find me. There are hundreds of thousands of federal buyers. You can only knock on the door of, let's say, 1,000 at most a year, right? So how do the other hundreds of thousands find you? It's through a tool like Dynamic Small Business Search. Okay, second marketing asset is your capability statement. The capability statement, it's a single page, by the way, not 2 pages, single page. If you go to the back page, that's still a second page. A single page is what I say, and here's why. Its only purpose is to get a meeting, right? I want people to look at your capability statement and go, yes, no, or you know what, you should talk to Sally, right? That's it. And you want them to say no as fast as possible. The faster you get away from the people who it's not a fit, right? There's nothing bad about it. It's just not a fit. They do construction, I do IT. Why should we talk? The faster I get the no's, the sooner I can get to the yeses because I'll have reached out to enough people. So a capability statement, we're not talking about it today, but earlier this week I did training and literally it could have been Monday, I guess it was. I almost thought it was yesterday, sorry. But a capability statement, in 6 seconds, they can make the decision to meet with you or not. And that's its purpose, right? Its purpose as a counter is not to inform. When you go to the back of the page, you're trying to put so much information on there. You're trying to convince them to meet with you. I don't want to convince anybody of anything. I want them to look and go, oh my God, you do flooring and painting? We just ran into the wall with a refrigerator when we were bringing it in. We need somebody to help us with it. Like I want them to instantly equate me and what I offer to their need. I don't want to convince them that working with a company like ours, doing a service or a product like ours is a good idea. There's this line in sales that says, don't try to convince people to believe what you believe. Find the people who already believe what you believe. Then you just show up. A quick sidebar, I say the same thing with set-asides. Don't try to sit there and work with an agency that is not meeting its small business goal like HubZone or Woman-Owned. Forget about them. If they're not hitting the goal, they don't care. Go find the agencies that are hitting the goal because if they're hitting their goal, they got no problem exceeding their goal. All right, number 3, LinkedIn personal profile. So if the dynamic small business search gets you found, capability statement is getting you a meeting, right? When you reach out to people and you say, hey, I want to schedule a meeting and you're sending an email, you're doing a phone call, LinkedIn personal page profile. So my profile, your profile, that lends a little bit of credibility to who we are. Okay, first off, it's a real person. I can see their face. I can see a little bit of who they are. One of my favorite things about personal profiles is when you connect with me, I can see how many people we're connected with. I often get connection requests and I'll reject a lot of them, not because I'm being mean, but I look at this and I go, look, you're nowhere in the GovCon space. I am trying to build a network for you and for me that is just made of people in the federal market. If you're selling leather interior, as much as I'd love to talk with you, I don't want you in my network because then my network starts going in that direction. Same reason I tend to try to stay CONUS type connections. And so LinkedIn personal profile helps people go, okay, this is a credible person. Makes sense for me to give them 15 minutes, 30 minutes of the time. Same thing with number 4, LinkedIn company page. This is where I'm looking at your company and saying, does it look like a real company? Is there credibility behind this company person that are requesting a meeting? And so that tends to get used when people are trying to find you. When somebody lands on your personal profile or your company page, they're able to quickly, like in seconds, learn about you enough to say yes, no, or Sally. In this case, Sally's never coming in. It's just personal. Do I want to meet with them? Do I not? Right? And so that's why you want to pay attention to that. We have whole trainings on those kind of things as well. Number 5 in the marketing asset is your capability briefing deck. This one here, very quickly, it's 6 to 10 slides is what I say. And the purpose of a capability briefing deck is to drive the conversation when you go into a meeting. When you go into a meeting where maybe you got 30 minutes, 5 minutes of it is using the capability briefing deck. You want to drive the conversation. So what's in your briefing deck is not supposed to inform them all about cybersecurity or all about elevator maintenance or something. It's designed to get them to go, tell me more about that. Oh, I like that case study of you working with another customer. Tell me more about that. Let's talk about it. More importantly, it also allows you to sit there and say, this is what I'd like to talk about as your agency's needs, et cetera. So capability briefing deck drives the conversation in a meeting. And number 6, the company website, for the most part, that one's to inform, right? If somebody wants to come and do a rabbit hole and go down and learn more about your company, or more importantly, learn more about the things you're an expert at, right? Now they're not trying to learn about you. They're trying to educate themselves on their needs. Let's say they want to go to the cloud with software applications or something, and you've got these blogs or white papers that talk about it. Not only are you showcasing that you're a subject matter expert, but you're teaching them. And that's really valuable to these people. Okay, so let's move on and talk about why it's the top asset. I'm going to do this really quick because I want to make sure I save enough time. I tend to put a lot into 30 minutes. Number one reason that I say it's the top marketing asset, besides the fact that all the acquisition personnel kind of know about it, it's the only tool that's listed in the FAR by name. And I just put it here because I've said this before, but I want you to understand when I make recommendations, they're not based on my whim. They're based on many, many, many years of not just having experience and knowing about it, but every day refining what I'm recommending. I don't recommend what I recommended 8 years ago. I keep improving it based on knowledge. But anyways, here's market research, right? It's the FAR. Hopefully I'm showing that. And if you come down, you can come down to FAR 10.002. And again, I am not a FAR expert. I don't want to be. But here's the procedures that acquisition personnel are being taught about market research. And if you come down further, right here, this one here, it's hard to see it, but I guess I can highlight it, couldn't I? That one. So it says reviewing systems such as SAM, FPDS, and the Small Business Administration's Dynamic Small Business Search, or DSBS search tool. And so when you go in and you think about it, it's the only marketing tool that's listed within the FAR. SAM's not marketing because it's really just basic registration. FPDS is not marketing at all. It's just saying who won. But DSBS is a marketing tool where you get to tell your story. All right, it's tied to sam.gov. You register in the government to sell through SAM, and then SBA has this add-on tool. Together, they make up your small business profile. So that makes it a really good tool. They're looking in SAM and DSBS together. DSBS is a top marketing asset because this is where buyers can go find all the small businesses, right? If they go to the web, it'll take forever. But if they go to DSBS and they say, show me hub zones that do cybersecurity or something, and it comes up. So all small businesses are in there. And the last thing is DSBS through SAM, right, are linked into many, many billion-dollar firm, these large suppliers or large prime contractors, into their supplier portals. You put your UEI or your cage code or something, those tools go out to SAM and DSBS and bring that information back. And so there's this link out there. And these are really some of the reasons on why I say it is the top marketing asset that's out there. Okay, really quick, I just wanted to remind you to register for a networking event. You're here today doing training. In the chat, you have a chance to do the training. Let me know. I'm attending or something. I'm registered if you're attending it. This is a networking event. It's virtual networking event for free. We're doing next week. All this stuff we do online, it tends to be free, right? You come into some of our products, I might start selling you something at some point, right? But here, it's all free because we're trying to build that community. We've got 275 people right there registered so far, 276. I want you to come join us. We break it out into rooms, give you a chance to meet and network with many people in a short amount of time. So come join us. Okay, let me go to the next slide. All right, let's talk about how federal buyers use DSBS, and then I want to go show you how they use it. And I know I'm going pretty fast back and forth here. But, and by the way, you can come back and watch this again, but I'm going to show you in a minute what I'm about to tell you. When federal buyers are using DSBS, and by the way, this is a generalization on how hundreds of thousands of people do something, right? So you never listen to one person say, this is how I do it. But basically us watching hundreds and hundreds of federal buyers and large primes and teammates using DSBS, this is how we do it. We go in and we use a keyword search. So I don't use NAICS code as an example. If I use an NAICS code for software development, I will get people who develop software everywhere. I will get results that are 1,000. And so we use keywords to kind of narrow it down. I'll show you that in a minute. When I do the keyword search, I get some results. And one of the first things I can see in the results are people's capability narrative. And so I review those capability narrative. It basically is the answer to, what do you guys do? And what I'm looking for when I go from the keyword to the capability narrative is I'm looking, this is what we call findable and attractive. This is the attractive part. Does your capabilities narrative match my search intent through the keywords? If I search for cybersecurity and you say we do cybersecurity, we do software development, we do network engineering and all these different things, it's like, well, you're not a cybersecurity firm. You dabble in cybersecurity compared to if I search for cybersecurity and everything I saw in the narrative is like, oh my gosh, that screams they're a cybersecurity firm. Well, that's what I want. The same way I would want a company that is fully into road paving or painting, for example. I don't want somebody who dabbles in it. I'm looking for a small business that is an expert on it. That's their niche. The next thing they look for is, have you been paid for it? Number 3, your past performances. And so they scroll to the bottom and they check that. And then there's some subliminal checks that I talk about. You have a profile, and when they come down, they want to see, do you have a link for a website or capability statement? Do you have a website listed? And if you do, does it say HTTPS? If it says HTTP:// it makes me worry about whether it's secure. That's what the S is. It says it's secure. And as a government agency, I'm hesitant to click on links that are not HTTPS, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Credit cards. Do you say you accept credit cards? Yes or no? If you say no, which is the default, then what it tells me is that perhaps you can't accept $1 million from me. If you can't accept $1,000 on a credit card, how can you accept $1 million, right? It's not actually reality, right? But it's perception. That's why I call it subliminal. Do you have leaders listed? I'll show you. Your NAICS codes. Do you have a sufficient amount of NAICS codes related to what I'm searching on with those keywords? And the last type, service type, right? Do you have your service types populated? In manufacturing, construction, services, and R&D. And I always tell people, always do 10 or 20% R&D and the other for whatever your main thing is. And so let's look really quickly at it. This is DSBS, and I'm going to go very, very fast because I just want to kind of show it to you. But I come here and I'm looking at a keyword, and let's use SharePoint just as an example. And this is live, so let's see how long it takes. Come on, DSBS, I only got a few minutes. Oh, I can drink water, though. Okay, wish it would have gone faster. Come on, DSBS. Let me try another one while I'm waiting. How about we try an 8A, because I can still see that thing spinning up there. An 8A, and in this one, let's call it American Sign Language. Control A, C, I'm going to say all, and put that, enter. Okay, that guy's off to the races. Okay, so this take a minute. Oh, this one went fast. I don't know why the other one went, but he's out. Okay, so I just searched 360,000+ small businesses, and it came back. I don't know if you can see this, but it came back with 6 profiles that say they do it. Look at this right here, Graham Inc. This is how cool a profile is. I don't know if you remember when I said congratulations to the 100 clubs. Graham Inc. is our #1 company that has the 100 visibility score. So congratulations, always the #1. But Graham, this is a random result that just happened to come back, but it's instantly coming back. And I'm looking for ASL, and I can come in here and look. We offer ASL, certified deaf interpreters, in-person interpreting. This is what I mean by the narrative, right? And if I click in, we just follow this thread really quick, and I'm showing you this one here. I want to see that there's a capability statement, and it's a PDF, right? Down here, here's the credit cards I was talking about, right? And so that one's important. Here's the websites. It's HTTPS, right? So these are the things we're looking for. Here we can see Nina and Kami. These are the 2 co-owners of Graham, but more importantly, I can see CEO and CFO. It's like, as a buyer, I'm like, oh, I have a person. Maybe I'll go look at them on LinkedIn. Same thing as I'm coming down. Let me go down a little further. Here's business type is 100. Actually, now that I see it, hey, they need to add 20% to R&D. But look at here. They've got a lot that goes into describing what they do. When I come down, I can see they're using some of the key NAICS, 12 NAICS codes. That's a good round number there. They're populating all the keywords. And the last thing is past performance. And here I can see the activity that they have. And here I'm seeing, okay, they've been paid for the sign language stuff. more sign language stuff. And this is what I'm looking for, right? As a buyer when I come down. Okay, let me come back. So those are the ways federal buyers use DSBS. Here's the last thing. I want you to check your own visibility score. How visible are you to federal buyers? You saw with what I just did with Graham, just because they're visible does not mean they'll make more money, win more contracts or something. What it means is that if a federal buyer did a search, they will find them. And because their profile is filled out really tight to what they sell, they showed up in the results of 6 companies, 8 companies that do American Sign Language out of 360 plus thousand, which means that buyer probably is going to go, you know what, I'm just going to reach out to these 6 companies. That's what you want to do, is just increase your ability for the buyer to see you and put you on the short list. It's not about winning contracts. It's about getting in the door, getting found, right? And so what is your score? Do you even know what your score is yet? I want to talk to you about steps to reach the 100 Club. I'm going to go show you this in 2 seconds. How do you find your score? How do you find out what you need to do to get to 100, which is federal visibility? And then what do you do to refresh your score so that you make sure you update it on our box? And so if I come here, this is GovCon in Box. It's our new, it's where we provide the tools for you to be able to win contracts. And we're putting a lot of stuff out here so you can come explore. But right here, start with your free visibility score. Nothing fancy about it. I'm going out to the federal buyer tools and bringing that information back in. And so I'm just going to pick a random company right here at the top. So its score is 14, if you can see it, this Van Rainey. And if I hover, instantly I can see they have no capability statement. Actually, if you look at this, many of these guys with low scores, they don't have that. So I'm going to click on this. And here we're pulling in information. I'll show you Graham in 2 seconds. But here, this is how you see your visibility score. So if I was a company like Graham's, I could type in Graham Inc., because that's what I'm remembering. And then I find them. And by the way, the reason Graham Inc. isn't at the top is we randomize the results. That way, our tool is not serving one company always to the top. Like, we love Graham, but they don't deserve to always be at the top, right? But fortunately, here they are. And you see how I hover? And now I can see the capability statement in there. And when I go in, you can see a lot more when you look at a more mature company. Here's people in the company who are members of the tool. Here's the contract vehicles they're on. Here's a link into DSBS and seeing that past performance, as well as a link into USA Spending, looking at what's in USA Spending that they have won, et cetera. This is just a great way for them to see it. If I go back really quickly, let me reset this really quickly. If you are a member, see how it redid the results again. And so now I've got different companies. But if I click on these guys, there are 54 or 52, excuse me. If I want to see what I need to do, I can click on this button. And if you're registered, which is free, then you can see the details on there. And I apologize for not being registered. I should have signed up so that I could show you, but go in and do your own company. All right, so that's refreshing your score. Use it at govconinbox.com. Here's what I want you to remember from today's training. First off, agencies buy from the companies that they can see, right? We like to say people buy from those who show up. So agencies buy from those they can see, and the way they see, number one place is DSBS. DSBS is the number one market research tool for federal buyers. Have your profile completely looking sharp. By the way, just quick sidebar, on GovCon in a Box, we're putting out tools. I think some of them are live right now, and I apologize for not knowing, but free tools that help you pick the right NAICS codes, meaning the ones that are actually used for what you sell, not just randomly the words align. But here, you're finding contracts you wish you won, and we're helping you. The other one is, how do you pick keywords to fill in? That's a feature that's in there. How do you build a narrative? Like I showed you Graham Inc.'s narrative. How do you build that? Well, we've got tools that help you for free in there, because I want to have the everybody's score at 100. And then the last thing is, go join that 100 club by going into GovCon in a Box, check your score, follow the guidance that I have. Remember, we're doing the networking event on Monday. I'd love to have you in there. We got 200 plus, almost 300 people registered. It's a great event because we shift you around to different rooms so that you can meet people, but it's all virtual. And people had fantastic experience in September when we did it. So I want to make sure we do it again and give you a chance to meet other people, not just me. All right, just remember, as we head out of the day, government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a process. Part of the process is joining the 100 Club. I hope you do. Let me know when you do so I can celebrate it. I will see you in the next training.